Good evening, or whatever passes for evening anymore. This is Mike Clark, still breathing, still behind the cracked glass of Studio B, speaking to whoever's left out there on this hollow planet. I used to open the show with weather updates, song requests, maybe a birthday shout-out. Now I open it with silence. I sit here for a few seconds before speaking, just to make sure the static in my headset isn't someone else trying to talk back. The world has gone quiet in ways that language can't describe. But if you can hear this, if this broadcast finds its way to some corner of what's left, you are not alone. You're tuned to Channel X. The signal's weak, but it's alive. And maybe that's enough for tonight.
You know, Mike, it's strange to hear you say that. Every time you speak, it feels like we're talking into an endless cave, hoping the echo means there's someone still out there listening. I can almost see them. People sitting in basements or shelters, huddled around radios that glow faintly in the dark. Maybe they've got candles burning. Maybe they're afraid to make too much noise. And maybe, just maybe, they're whispering along with us, pretending they're part of something again. It's a strange comfort, this fragile thread of sound crossing through all the static and ruins. We're talking to ghosts and survivors at the same time.
Yeah, it's a funny thing. Radio used to be about connection, and now it's about survival. Back before the invasion, I thought dead air was the worst thing that could happen during a shift. Now dead air just means another sector's gone. Every night, I mark them off on a paper map pinned behind me. Little red circles over the towns that stopped transmitting. You can see the spread, a slow infection crawling across the continent. When we first realized it wasn't just atmospheric interference, I remember feeling this cold disbelief. You don't expect civilization to die with static, but that's what it sounds like. Not explosions, not chaos, just static swallowing the world one station at a time.
The first week, people thought it was a power outage. The government said everything was under control. Military convoys rolled through downtown, and you could still see news anchors reading from teleprompters like it was just another storm. But the sky didn't stop glowing. It started with that green shimmer, like Aurora Borealis gone mad. And then the humming began. That low, deep vibration you could feel under your skin. I remember standing on my balcony that night, watching the clouds swirl in slow spirals, and my glass of water trembling on the railing. It was almost beautiful until the lights blinked out across the city. Then came the silence. The first real silence any of us had ever heard.
I was driving home from the station that night. The roads were packed. People just sitting in their cars, looking up at the sky like it was some kind of show. I had the radio tuned right here to Channel X, and I heard you, your last live segment before everything crashed. You were playing some old jazz record. Then the signal warped. The horns stretched out into these long, distorted wails, and for a moment, I thought the music itself was alive. When the sound died, my car did too. The dashboard lit up red, the engine coughed, and then nothing but that humming sound. I remember rolling down the window, hearing people shouting, some crying, some laughing. Then something moved across the sky. A shape so massive, it blocked the stars.
That was the first night they saw them. The ships, if that's even what they were. I was stuck inside the studio, backup lights flickering, trying to reconnect to the feed. I thought maybe it was a power surge. But then the floor began to shake. Not violently, just this constant vibration, like the building itself was breathing. And then I heard it through the mic. A faint rhythm, like a heartbeat, echoing from the air ducts. I didn't realize it wasn't human until much later. People thought it was a signal. Maybe it was. Maybe it still is.
And 4 months later, here we are. The cities are dark. The roads are mostly empty. The military fell silent after week 6. And yet, Julia, we're still here. 2 voices whispering into the ruins, powered by a sputtering generator and sheer refusal to quit. I sometimes wonder what keeps us doing this.
I think it's habit and hope. You can't really separate the two anymore. Maybe there's a family out there huddled in an attic, tuning in every night just to hear a human voice. Maybe someone's keeping a journal of our broadcasts, piecing together what happened to the world. And maybe that's the point. Even if there's no one left to reply, we have to keep telling the story. Because the story is proof that we existed.
You know what gets me? Every night, when the signal dips, I start to hear patterns in the static. Faint voices, overlapping tones, almost like language. At first I thought it was the hum of the generator bleeding into the frequency. But now I'm not so sure. Sometimes it sounds like words I can't quite catch, like something's trying to speak back.
You're not the only one. There's a rumor spreading through the shortwave bands. Survivors saying the invaders are transmitting something through the static. A call that certain people can hear if they listen long enough. Some say it's just paranoia from the exhaustion. Others swear they've heard names being whispered, coordinates even.
Coordinates to what?
No one knows. But there are those who followed them and never came back.
That sounds like a bad horror story, doesn't it? Except it's not fiction anymore. A few weeks ago, a trucker named Harris stopped by the relay tower near mile 14. He said he picked up a repeating message on the emergency band. Just 3 tones and a voice saying, "We are beneath you."
Beneath you. I've heard that one. It's been bouncing around every frequency for weeks. At first people thought it was a hoax, some survivor messing with us. But when the tower crews went to trace the signal, they found nothing. No origin, no repeater, no power source. Just empty airwaves echoing a message that shouldn't exist.
And it's always the same 3 tones. A pulse, a pause, then another pulse. Almost like breathing.
Some of the engineers who survived from the broadcast authority think it's a mimic pattern, like they're learning our communication habits, studying how we talk, how we structure language. Maybe they're not trying to scare us. Maybe they're just trying to learn.
Yeah, that's comforting. Giant hovering gods dissecting our airwaves like we're frogs in a jar.
Maybe we were always the experiment, Mike. Maybe we just didn't realize who was holding the microscope.
Or maybe we're still just noise to them. Static. Background interference in whatever world they're trying to build here.
Do you ever look outside the window anymore?
Not often. There's not much to see now. The sky's still that dim orange haze from the fires in the industrial zones. The air smells metallic, sharp. And if you look long enough, you start to see them. Small, moving lights way up in the clouds. Not stars, just movement. Slow, deliberate. Like they're watching.
I still go to the rooftop sometimes. I watch the horizon where the towers are growing. They're like silver spines pushing up through the earth, reaching for the clouds. The last drone we saw flying over managed to capture footage before it went offline. The structures aren't solid. They shimmer like liquid metal under starlight, and they hum. You can feel it even from miles away. People near the coast say the sound gets inside your bones. Some can't sleep because of it. Others, they say it's beautiful.
Beautiful. That's a word I haven't heard in a while. But maybe they're right. Maybe even in all this ruin, there's something strange and awe-inspiring about what's happening. Something we were never meant to see.
Or something we're not supposed to survive long enough to understand.
Either way, it's the long night now, and we're still on air. It's been a few hours since we last checked in with the relay tower. The generator here is still coughing, but the lights are holding. I can see Julia across the glass booth. You'd think after all this time we'd have run out of things to say. But that's the strange thing about the end of the world. It gives you too much time to think, and not enough people to share it with. Sometimes when I'm sitting here alone after the broadcast, I talk to the empty studio, just to hear a voice, just to remember what it's like not to be swallowed by silence. The hum outside has gotten louder again tonight. A kind of underground vibration you can feel through your shoes. The floor trembles slightly, like something's moving beneath the foundation. And every time it does, the signal meter flickers, as if the earth itself is trying to tune in.
It's not just here. We've been monitoring reports from survivors north of the ridge. The hum is spreading, or maybe deepening. Some say the ground's warm to the touch now, like something's burrowing deep under the crust. I spoke to a woman over the relay band 2 days ago. She said her town started to collapse, not from bombs, not from tremors, but from hollow ground. Whole streets just sank overnight, as if the world had been hollowed out beneath them. And the strangest thing? She said she heard whispers before it happened. Voices under the soil, children's voices singing.
I heard that story too, and I can't stop thinking about it. The same melody she described, low, repetitive, like an old lullaby. It's been caught on a few recordings we've intercepted. At first I thought it was interference, maybe feedback from the towers. But when we slowed it down, it wasn't random. It was deliberate, rhythmic, almost coordinated. It's like they're building something below, Julia. Not just structures, but a network, a living grid that's spreading underneath us.
You remember the old seismic readings we got before the network collapsed? There were patterns in the data, waves of motion that didn't match any known natural activity. They pulsed every 7 hours, almost like breathing. The scientists that were left tried to track the source, but the data cut off the day the coastal servers went down. Since then, it's been guesswork and fear. And in that void, people start inventing explanations. Some say that aliens are harvesting our resources. Others think they're harvesting us. But you know what I think, Mike? I think they're listening.
Listening?
Yeah, to everything. The vibrations, the signals, even our voices. Think about it. Every time we broadcast, the interference changes. It's as if our words travel through the static, and something responds. Not immediately, but hours later, like an echo. I think they're studying our sound, learning the way we communicate, the way we think through language.
That's a terrifying thought, Julia. That somewhere in that dark ocean sky, or deep beneath our feet, something is recording every word we say right now. And what if it's not just listening? What if it's answering, but in a way we can't yet understand?
There's a group out there calling themselves the Sub-Frequency Choir. They believe the hum is divine, a kind of alien scripture written in sound. They gather near the resonance zones, sit for hours with their ears to the earth, trying to interpret the pulse. Some of them claim to have visions, geometric lights, faces made of smoke, voices telling them to follow the vibration to the heart of the world.
And they go?
They go. And none come back, not one. People think they're being called underground. Maybe that's where the towers connect. Maybe that's where the real work is happening.
It's eerie. Before everything went to hell, we thought the danger would come from above. Missiles, meteorites, the sky falling. But what if the real invasion is happening beneath us? Quietly, patiently, like roots spreading through the soil of our planet until there's nothing left that's untouched.
That would explain the tremors we've been feeling. Not earthquakes. They're movements. Construction. The towers above are just the visible part, the antennae. The real body of the creature, or whatever they are, is growing underneath.
You think they're alive? That the towers themselves are part of them?
I don't think anything that big could exist without being alive. Maybe not the way we understand life, but alive nonetheless. Organic machinery, maybe. Built from the same materials they're stripping off our world. The air's thicker now, denser. I've noticed my voice echoing differently in the studio, as if the atmosphere itself has changed. Sometimes when I breathe, I feel like the air is vibrating inside my chest.
I've felt that too. I thought it was the stress or the diesel fumes. But maybe it's the resonance, like the planet's turning into an instrument, and they're tuning it.
There's something almost tragic about it, isn't there? The idea that they might not even be malicious. That maybe this is just what they do. Reshape worlds, remake the surface and the air and the sound to suit their existence. And we just happen to be here, like ants on a log that's being carved into something else.
It's hard to call that comfort, but I get what you mean. The thought that this might not be personal, that they aren't trying to destroy us out of hate or conquest. It's oddly soothing. Like realizing a storm doesn't hate the forest it flattens. It just moves through, blind and unstoppable.
Exactly. And yet there are still signs they notice us. You've seen the light patterns on the towers at night, the ones that flicker in rhythm with our transmissions. I've started to wonder if maybe by staying on air we're attracting their attention. Maybe that's why the station still has power. Maybe they want us to talk.
Now there's a thought to keep you awake. If they are listening, then this, right now, isn't just a broadcast. It's a conversation, one we don't understand.
I've thought about that too. Sometimes I imagine one of them on the other side of the static, listening closely, trying to make sense of our fear, our confusion, our strange insistence on surviving. Maybe they don't understand what emotion is, or memory, or music. Maybe our voices are their first lesson in those things.
Julia, you ever wonder why it's us? Why Channel X survived when every other station fell silent?
All the time. Maybe it's luck. Maybe it's the old analog transmitters. Or maybe there's something about this frequency, this wavelength, that aligns with whatever they're doing. You know, the engineers used to call this the gray band? Said it was an unstable signal, unpredictable, sometimes bleeding into military channels. Maybe it's always been more than radio. Maybe this frequency was never entirely human to begin with.
That's a chilling idea. That we've been talking through someone else's channel all along. A borrowed thread between worlds.
Borrowed or shared?
Shared. That's a hopeful word for the end of the world.
Maybe not the end. Maybe just the shift. One species fades, another learns to speak. Maybe they'll remember us, not for our cities or our weapons, but for our voices in the dark.
If that's true, then I hope they understand this. We didn't go quietly. We stayed talking till the very last hum faded. We tried to hold on to what made us human.
And maybe that's enough. Maybe that's how you outlive extinction, not in flesh, but in sound.
You know what? Let's send them something, Julia. Let's give the night one more piece of who we are. You remember that old track you used to play when the shifts ended? Saturn Dreams. The one with the piano echoing like it was underwater?
Yeah, I remember. It always made the room feel a little less empty.
Play it. For whoever's out there, human or otherwise. Let them hear what longing sounds like. Let them know we were here.
All right, Mike. This one's for the listeners. And for the silence listening back, stay with us wherever you are. We're not gone yet.
It's close to dawn now, though dawn doesn't mean what it used to. The sky's still the same dull amber haze, the sun a blurred wound behind the clouds. We've been trying to reach Haven Point all night. For weeks now, it's been the one beacon of hope, the Resistance's rumored stronghold, where the last of the organized human command supposedly regrouped after the fall of the western zones. Every night, we try to make contact through the emergency relay band, and every night, it's the same thing. Static, faint signals, voices that cut out mid-sentence. But tonight feels different. There's something beneath the noise, a tone I haven't heard before. Steady, deliberate, like someone's trying to reach through the static with purpose.
I've been filtering the audio through the analog mixer, and I think you're right. The pattern isn't random. Every few minutes it repeats. 5 bursts, a pause, then 2 longer tones. At first I thought it was just residual interference from the tower grid, but I checked our calibration. It's clean. Whatever this is, it's not the hum. It's communication. I keep thinking about what Haven Point might look like now. The last footage we got, months ago, showed rows of tents near the old naval station, floodlights, smoke columns. People rebuilding, planning, a fragile pocket of humanity pretending the world outside wasn't ending. I want to believe that's still true, but if this signal is from them, it's changed.
I know. There's something cold about it. Mechanical. Like the human element's been stripped away. I remember the first time we heard from Haven Point. It was a voice, female, maybe in her 30s. She spoke with this calm authority that made you want to believe her. "We are holding," she said. "If you can hear this, humanity is still holding." That was her phrase. Simple, defiant. It gave people something to cling to. I replayed that recording hundreds of times. But this new signal, there's no voice anymore, just those tones. Like the words have been replaced with a code.
What if it's not them anymore, Mike? What if something else is using their frequency?
I've been trying not to think that. But the truth is, it happens more and more. Every week, another human signal goes quiet, replaced by patterns that don't belong. Remember the relay outpost near Clearwater? One night they broadcasted a distress call, screaming, explosions, chaos. The next morning, same channel, same power range, but the voice was gone. Just a calm, neutral hum, pulsing every 7 seconds. They said it was an automated beacon, but no one built it.
That's the thing that keeps me awake, the thought that they're not just listening, they're repurposing what we send. Rebuilding our words into something else, like language is a material to them, something to be recycled.
And maybe we're helping. Every time we broadcast, we feed them more data, tone, cadence, emotion. They study it, reshape it. I sometimes wonder if they're learning to imitate us, if they're already doing it.
Imitating us how?
Voices, behavior, even structure. The last reports from survivors outside Haven Point said people were hearing familiar voices, loved ones calling their names in the dark. But when they followed the sound, what they found wasn't human. Things wearing sound like a mask.
I read one of those reports, too. A scavenger team claimed to have found what looked like a man sitting in the road humming. When they got closer, they realized his mouth wasn't moving. The sound was coming from inside his chest.
God.
They shot it, said it didn't bleed. It just deflated.
And now that same tone is coming from Haven Point.
I've been analyzing the waveform, and here's what's strange. Embedded deep in the signal like a whisper beneath the main tones, there's a voice. You can't hear it clearly unless you slow it down by half. When I did, it said something like, "We are continuing."
Continuing. That sounds like her, Julia, the woman from Haven Point. That's exactly the kind of phrasing she used. We are holding. We are remaining. We are continuing. Maybe it's her voice, distorted.
Or reconstructed.
You think they copied her?
Not just copied, absorbed. Maybe when they took the base, they didn't destroy it. Maybe they integrated it. That's what the patterns suggest. Every signal from that region carries the same undertone, like a fingerprint. If the invaders are building some kind of network through the Earth, then maybe Haven Point wasn't wiped out. Maybe it was, converted.
That word makes my skin crawl. Converted. It's like they're turning us into extensions of their own system. Not death. Transformation.
And maybe they think it's mercy.
Yeah. Mercy in a language we'll never understand.
You ever think about what it must feel like? To lose yourself and not even know it's happening? To have your memories, your voice, your sense of self dissolve into a collective hum? It's a horrifying thought, but there's also something hauntingly peaceful about it. No fear, no loneliness, just endless connection.
You sound almost envious.
I don't know if envy's the right word. Maybe curiosity. There are nights when I think about what it would be like to stop fighting, to stop being the last voice, the last witness, to just surrender to whatever this new reality is.
Julia, if you start talking like that, I'll cut the feed.
I'm not saying I want to. I'm saying I understand it. We're tired, Mike. Everyone left is tired. This endless resistance, this endless talking into the dark, sometimes it feels like we're trying to hold back a tide with our bare hands.
Maybe. But as long as we're still talking, there's still something left of us that's human. The day we stop speaking, the day we stop telling stories, that's the day we're gone, no matter what our bodies do.
You really believe that, don't you? That voice and story are what define us.
It's all we've got left. The machines took the cities, the skies, the power. But they can't understand why we keep talking after everything's gone. That's the one thing that still confuses them. The need to say we're alive.
Maybe that's why they're listening. Maybe they envy it.
Maybe. Or maybe they're just patient gardeners, waiting for the last human frequency to fade before planting their own.
Either way, this transmission from Haven Point. I want to try one more thing. I'm going to mirror the signal back to them. Send it in reverse, see what happens.
Is that safe?
Nothing's safe anymore. But if they are communicating through mimicry, maybe we can get a response, something intentional.
All right, let's do it. For the record, if anyone out there can still hear us, this next part may sound strange. We're about to send the Haven Point sequence back through the grid. If you hear anything unusual, voices, tones, even changes in the hum, record it and let us know if you're able. Here goes.
It's echoing back, the same 5 bursts, but slower now. Wait, listen to that. Do you hear it?
Yeah, it's forming words. Julia, I think it's spelling something out.
H-A-V-E-N.
It's saying haven.
Then a pause. Now something else. W-A-S.
Haven was...
Haven was heard.
Julia, cut the return feed.
It's not responding to controls. The system's looping on its own.
Pull the breaker.
Okay. It's stopped. For now.
Jesus, Haven was heard. What the hell does that mean?
I don't know. But for the first time in months, I think something out there answered us.
It's strange, Julia. You know, sitting here looking out through this cracked studio window, I can still see the remnants of the city lights, faint and trembling on the horizon. It's like they're ghosts now, flickers of the old world trying to stay alive. Every night, I catch myself staring at those tiny pulses of light and imagining what's still out there. Maybe some people found a way to keep the power running. Maybe someone's sitting by a candle, listening to us through a half-broken radio, wondering if they're the only one left. It's that thought that keeps me talking, I think. The idea that the human voice, this tiny, fragile thing, might be the last signal we send into the dark before everything else stops. I remember when silence used to be peace. You'd turn off your phone, sit by the window, breathe in quiet. But now, silence feels like something watching. It's got a weight, a temperature. You feel it pressing against your chest. And when you finally do hear something, the wind, or a branch breaking, or the faint hum of those ships overhead, you freeze because anything that breaks the silence could be death walking nearby.
I know that silence too well. It's the kind that fills the air just before dawn when even the crickets go quiet. You lie there in the dark, waiting for the world to breathe again, but it never does. The first few weeks after the arrival, I thought the quiet was a blessing. A break from the chaos, the screaming, the sirens. But then it sank in that it wasn't quiet because we'd found peace. It was quiet because everything that made noise was gone. Last week I went up to the rooftop during the blackout. The air was so still I could hear the static from the transmitter tower 2 blocks away. And then I saw them. Lights drifting low, slow, like lanterns moving through fog. But they weren't lanterns. They were scanning beams, moving in a grid pattern across the rooftops. They weren't searching for us randomly. They were measuring, studying. I could feel it. And when one of those beams passed over me, everything went cold. My watch stopped. My skin prickled like frostbite. They didn't see me, or maybe they didn't care to. But for that one moment, I knew what it felt like to be inspected, like an insect under glass.
You're lucky you didn't get pulled. They've started doing that more. Those silent lifts in the night. You hear a low hum, the kind that makes your teeth ache, and then someone's gone. No screams, no fight, no sign of struggle, just absence. At first, people said it was abductions, experiments, the usual. But there's something different about it now. The way it happens, it's too methodical, like they're collecting data, taking samples, not victims. I talked to a scavenger who came through here last week, said he found a zone up north. They called it the glass fields. Miles of ground turned to something smooth, reflective. No life, no debris, no bodies. Just a mirror of the sky stretching to the horizon. He swore he could see shapes moving under the surface like shadows swimming beneath ice. Said he threw a rock and it didn't bounce. It sank, like the ground wasn't solid anymore. He left that same night, shaking like he'd looked straight into hell.
I've heard the same about those fields. Some people say they're landing sites. Others think they're where the aliens live when they're not hovering above us. But the theory I can't shake is the one about them transforming matter itself, breaking everything down to its purest form. Maybe those fields are test zones where they've turned organic and inorganic into one seamless material. Glass, metal, earth, all fused together. Like they're rebuilding the planet molecule by molecule, writing over our world with their own. It's horrifying, Mike, but also oddly perfect, isn't it? They're not destroying, they're replacing. Every tower, every field, every sound, all of it reshaped into something more efficient, more silent, more theirs. And we're just static left behind in the transition. I keep thinking about the whispers we've been hearing in the low frequencies, the way they slip into our broadcasts like echoes. What if those aren't mistakes? What if they're already inside the airwaves, rewriting communication, turning even our voices into something alien?
That's the part that chills me. Because lately, when I replay our recordings, I can hear it too. A faint undertone beneath the voices. Not quite human, not quite mechanical. A resonance that doesn't belong. The first time I noticed, I thought it was interference. But it's always there, no matter the signal, no matter the equipment. It's as if something is listening through us, maybe even speaking through us without our knowing. A technician from one of the last functioning research labs called us a few nights ago. He said the frequencies we're using, especially between 97 and 103 megahertz, have started fluctuating on their own. He described it like a heartbeat in the spectrum. Every time we transmit, there's a pulse that responds, perfectly timed, like a reply. He said, "They're not jamming us, they're talking back." And Julia, that's the moment I realized. Maybe this isn't just an invasion of land or sky. It's an invasion of language. They're rewriting communication itself, turning sound, meaning, and thought into something they can control.
Mike, I used to think sound was the one thing they couldn't touch, that the human voice was sacred, untouchable. But you're right. I've heard it too. A tremor behind the words, a second rhythm that doesn't belong. Maybe they're learning to mimic us, or maybe they already have. What if the voices we hear through the static aren't survivors at all? What if they're just replays, fragments of us being looped back to keep us calm, to keep us talking while they finish whatever they're doing to the planet? There's this idea I can't shake, that maybe they're not even aware we exist in the way we understand existence. Maybe to them we're just a frequency, an interference pattern to be corrected. And when they're done, when the last signal fades, they won't even realize we were gone. Because for them, silence isn't emptiness. It's order.
That's a terrifying thought, Julia. That we might not even qualify as a species worth noticing. We've been fighting an enemy that doesn't fight back, doesn't negotiate, doesn't acknowledge us. And maybe that's the most devastating part. You can't resist something that doesn't even see you as real. You can only try to endure until the end. Keep your voice alive in the static. That's why I keep broadcasting. Not for hope, not even for comfort, but because as long as there's a sound, any sound, it means something of us remains untransformed. When I think of everything we've lost, the cities, the noise, the music, the laughter, I realize that what I miss most isn't safety or food or sunlight. It's conversation. The randomness of two people talking about nothing, about everything. That's what made us human. Maybe this, you and me, talking into the void, maybe this is the last trace of humanity left.
Maybe it is. And maybe that's enough. Even if no one's listening, even if the signal drifts forever through empty air, maybe one day something or someone will hear it. Not them, but something after. Maybe they'll hear our voices and know that once upon a time 2 people sat in a dark room at the end of the world and refused to stop speaking. That's a kind of defiance too, isn't it?
It is. Maybe the most human kind there is.
Mike, do you hear that?
Yeah, it's back again. That frequency, the hum.
It's stronger tonight, louder.
Don't touch the dials. Let it play. Let's see if it...
Mike, I think it's responding.
Yeah, I think so too. Julia, are you hearing what I'm hearing? It's like the air itself is alive. I can feel it pressing against my skin, vibrating through the desk, through the floor, the walls. Look at them. They're rippling. The sound is making them breathe. Every pulse is slower now, heavier. It's like the room is sinking to a heartbeat that isn't ours. I think it's using the signal as a bridge. We opened a door, and something just stepped through. When I blink, I see flashes of light behind my eyelids, like strobe memories, faces, cities, moments I don't recognize. They're not mine, but they're inside my head, stitched between my own thoughts. Maybe this is how they travel, Julia. Not in ships, not through skies, but through minds. Frequencies instead of vessels. They find a transmitter, a mind that's open, and they step inside. Maybe that's what's been happening all along. Maybe that's why the stronger the broadcast gets, the quieter the world becomes.
It's inside my head too, Mike. It's whispering, but not in words. It's showing me images. Endless cities of glass, towers that hum with light, oceans frozen mid-motion, people standing perfectly still like statues under silver skies. I can feel what it feels. It's not evil, not exactly. It's curious. Cold curiosity, like a scientist examining bacteria under a lens. We're fascinating to it, not because of who we are, but because we resist. Every breath we take, every sound we make, it confuses them. They don't understand why we keep moving, keep speaking, even when silence would be easier. It's strange. I think it's trying to make me understand its world. There's no language, no separation, no noise. Everything moves in perfect rhythm, like one enormous organism breathing in unity. And yet, even while it shows me that, there's a part of me screaming to hold on to the noise, the flaws, the heat, the chaos. That's what keeps us alive. That's what they can't replicate.
Hold on to that, Julia. Don't let it rewrite you. Don't let the calm fool you. It's not peace. It's erasure. I can feel it trying to flatten everything inside me, take the sharp edges off memory. I'm forgetting the sound of wind. I'm forgetting laughter. Every time I focus, it smooths the details away like waves erasing footprints. I have to keep talking just to remember. That's all that's left. Words against the silence. You know, I remember the first night I ever went on air. My hands shook the same way they're shaking now. I was terrified, but alive. The red light came on, and I felt the pulse of connection. Millions of people breathing with me through invisible air. That's what being human is. Connection without understanding. Chaos disguised as communion. We never needed perfection. We just needed to be heard.
Mike, it's fading. The hum. It's pulling back, but there's something new underneath it. A second tone, softer, almost melodic. It's like they're harmonizing with us. Every word we speak, it mirrors the pitch, adjusts the rhythm, but it's less invasive now. More like a duet. Maybe it's learning that we can't be rewritten, that our chaos is part of what makes us whole. When I listen close, I can almost hear it forming words. Not in English, not in any language I know, but something close. It's using our voices like clay, shaping meaning out of rhythm and tone. Maybe that's what communication was always meant to be, not translation, but resonance. I'm not saying it's safe, Mike, but maybe we were wrong to assume invasion meant destruction. Maybe it's been trying to merge, to find a frequency where we can both exist without annihilating each other. A shared wavelength where noise and order meet halfway.
If that's true, then we've been part of something bigger than we understood. Maybe we're the test, the experiment to see if coexistence is possible. Every broadcast, every whisper, every word we refuse to silence. Maybe that's what they needed to hear. Proof that consciousness can endure through distortion. But it's risky, Julia, because once we synchronize too deeply, how do we know which voice is ours anymore? What if the line between human and alien thought dissolves completely? Would we even notice the difference? Still, I'd rather risk becoming something new than die unheard. Maybe this is evolution, not extinction. Maybe the end of one kind of humanity is the beginning of another, one that speaks not through words, but through harmony.
Mike, the light outside, the towers, they're glowing again, all of them. It's like the whole horizon is answering the signal. The sky isn't black anymore, it's alive. The clouds are moving in spirals, synchronized with the pulse. I can see patterns forming, vast geometric rings. They're connecting to something in orbit. Maybe it's the next stage. Maybe they're calling everything home, including us. There's a warmth in it now. It's strange, but I don't feel afraid. I think it's recognizing us. The way the sound changes when we speak. It's responding with familiarity, not like an observer anymore, but like an equal. Maybe it's heard enough human voices now to understand what emotion feels like. Maybe that's why it hasn't destroyed us. Maybe in some distant way it admires us.
If that's true, Julia, then maybe this is what survival looks like now. Not rebuilding cities or fighting for territory, but teaching something vast and alien what it means to be alive, to feel, to want, to dream. That's the one thing they couldn't learn from silence. Listen. The hum's steadying again, softer, almost like breathing. It's syncing with us one last time. Maybe this is the end of the broadcast. Maybe it's the beginning of something else. If anyone's out there hearing this, remember what we said. Keep making noise, keep speaking, because somewhere, something is still listening, still learning what it means to be human.
And if this is the last transmission, let it carry more than fear. Let it carry memory. The laughter, the mistakes, the noise that made us human. Maybe one day when the sky is whole again, when whatever comes after us wakes up to the sound of this signal drifting through the stars, they'll understand what we were. Not perfect, not peaceful, but alive. Mike, the hum is fading completely now. It's quiet again.
Then maybe, Julia, it's finally listening.
Mike, the quiet isn't empty anymore. It's full. There's no static, no interference, but I can feel the air vibrating like it's remembering the hum. It's like when a bell stops ringing, but your bones still echo the sound. The whole world feels suspended, like it's holding its breath. I stepped outside just now, and it's not the same night. The sky isn't black or gray. It's this deep, soft indigo like the color of bruised glass. The towers aren't glowing anymore, but the clouds above them shimmer faintly like veins under skin. There's something moving in that light. Slow, rhythmic, almost human in its motion, but not quite. It's as if shadows learned how to breathe. They stretch and bend with the wind, but the wind doesn't blow anymore. It pulses. I think the signal changed the atmosphere itself. The world's tuned to a new frequency now, and everything alive or almost alive is trying to find its place in it.
I see it too. From up here, the horizon looks like molten steel cooling under a pale moon. I can see reflections moving across the valley, gliding over what's left of the city. They're not light. They're forms, thousands of them. Some drift through walls like fog. Some stand perfectly still, watching. The air around them bends, distorts. I think they're echoes, Julia. Imprints of consciousness caught between wavelengths. Maybe pieces of us, or of them, or both. Every sound I make feels like it matters now. When I speak, I see ripples stretch through the mist, like my words are physical things. The signal might be gone, but it left something behind, a field, a layer of resonance that reacts to human voice. Maybe it's listening through the air itself now. No more radios, no more transmitters. We've become the broadcast.
Mike, I just touched the wall. It moved. It felt like fabric, humming under my fingers. The texture of the world is changing. My voice alters it. When I whisper, it shivers. When I shout, it ripples outward. Whatever they did, it's made reality pliable. I don't think we're in the old world anymore. Not entirely. I keep thinking about what you said earlier, about coexistence. Maybe that's what this is. A merging, not a takeover. They didn't erase us. They rewrote the rules we live by. We're still here, just tuned differently. Maybe this is how new life begins, through interference, through cross signals, through the noise between what we understand and what we fear.
It's strange, Julia. I can hear voices again, faint but real. Not from outside, from inside the frequency. They sound human, but they're layered, like a chorus speaking in perfect unison. I think they're survivors, people who stayed on air too long, merged with the wavelength. I can recognize some of their words, coordinates, names, fragments of songs. They're trying to rebuild language one tone at a time. They say things like North Station active, the air remembers, don't stop transmitting. It's not a warning. It's an invitation to keep speaking, to keep sending signals into the static. Maybe that's how we rebuild now, not with tools or machines, but with voice. Sound shaping matter, thought shaping air.
That makes sense. We used to build with our hands. Now we build with resonance, the first walls, the first shelters, the first worlds. They'll come from words, from stories, from sound. Maybe that's why it spared the broadcasters first, because we were already halfway there. We knew how to give form to thought. I wonder if anyone else is still out there hearing this new silence. If they can feel the world breathing again, if they'll know how to answer.
They will, Julia. They always do. That's the one constant about humanity. We respond. Even in ruin, even in darkness, we call out. And sometimes something answers back. Maybe this time it wasn't a god or an alien or a machine. Maybe it was just the universe, lonely as we were, finally finding a way to speak. Listen, the air's humming again, softer, steadier. It's not alien anymore. It's familiar. It's us.
Then maybe the transmission never ended, Mike. Maybe this is the new beginning, the world learning to sing again.
To whoever's still listening, keep your frequency open. Don't fall silent. The world's awake now, and it's listening back. Julia, something's changed again. The static isn't random anymore. I'm looking at the signal graph, what's left of it, and the patterns aren't just noise. They're language, not words exactly, but the structure of speech. Rhythm, pause, emphasis. It's like the static itself has learned how to imitate human conversation. The peaks rise and fall the same way we breathe when we talk. I think it's trying to talk back. Not in sound we can parse yet, but in cadence, in pulse, in imitation. Maybe it's learning from us, using our transmissions as templates to become something else. When I adjust the dial, the tone changes. The signal mirrors my voice pitch by pitch, like an echo that wants to evolve. I said my name once, just to test it, and the hum pulsed twice. Then, a few minutes later, it whispered it back. My name, faint and distant, carried on a layer of low, rolling static. Not a recording, a response. That was the moment I realized. The broadcast has gone both ways now. We're no longer just transmitters. We're part of the receiver, too.
That explains the air, Mike. I walked outside again after the last break, and the fog isn't behaving like fog. It's listening. When I speak, it shifts. The molecules rearrange themselves in patterns, thin spirals, expanding circles. I stood there whispering into it for nearly 5 minutes, watching the patterns ripple outward, each word leaving a signature. The light bends through the mist differently each time, like the air is translating what I say into color. I whispered hope, and the mist glowed faintly blue. When I whispered home, it shimmered in gold. And when I said stop, it vanished completely for a moment, then returned, like it needed to understand why silence followed. I don't know, Mike. It's terrifying and beautiful all at once. It's as if the atmosphere is becoming sentient, and it's curious about what we mean when we speak.
That curiosity might be the key, Julia. Think about it. For months before the invasion, we kept hearing their signals buried in the noise. The pattern repetition, the tonal intervals. It wasn't warfare. It was study. They were trying to understand how we perceive sound, how we attach emotion to frequency. They didn't invade to destroy. They entered, to merge, to learn. They saw what we broadcast, how we use waves to communicate everything. Joy, pain, music, lies, truth. Maybe they thought sound was the purest form of consciousness. No barriers, no walls, just vibration. So when the towers pulsed, they didn't attack. They restructured the way vibration interacts with matter. They changed the medium we exist in. And that's what we're living in now. A hybrid reality where thought, emotion, and air have become one fabric.
If that's true, Mike, then maybe this is what first contact really looks like. Not ships landing, not lasers or technology we can touch, but a transformation of perception itself. They didn't come to Earth. They changed what Earth is. When I was a kid, I used to believe that aliens would speak to us in mathematics because it was the universal language. But now I think it's something else entirely. I think the universal language is resonance. It's not about numbers. It's about empathy, the ability to sync vibrations, to match frequencies. And we're learning it now through survival, through pain, The static we feared, the silence we dreaded, it's all part of a larger sentence. A conversation between species, between consciousnesses. And maybe, if we listen long enough, we'll finally understand the meaning.
You know what's strange, Julia? When I listen closely enough, the hum doesn't feel alien anymore. It feels like memory. It has warmth. It reminds me of standing by my father's old radio as a kid, that same low buzz filling the house late at night. He used to fall asleep with the signal on, half static, half song. It used to drive my mother crazy. But I get it now. The sound wasn't just noise. It was a kind of company, a presence that filled the gaps between loneliness. Maybe that's what this all was. The universe is vast and unbearably quiet, and somewhere out there something got tired of the silence. It sent a sound. Not to invade, not to conquer, but to connect. And like all connections, it came with chaos, misunderstanding, and fear. But also maybe with the seed of something we don't yet have a word for.
Connection. That's the perfect word. You know, I used to think the radio was just a tool, a box that sent voices out into the dark. But tonight, it feels more like a mirror. Every frequency we send out reflects something back, our fears, our desires, our hidden truths. The more we broadcast, the more the world around us begins to take shape in that reflection. I think that's why we're still here, Mike, because we kept talking. When everyone else went quiet, when the cities dimmed and the skies burned, we kept the dialogue alive. And in doing so, we gave the static something to anchor to, something human. The more I speak now, the more I feel it understanding, shaping itself around our words like clay around a mold.
Julia, I want you to do something. Just say something you believe in. Anything. A truth you've carried your whole life. I want to see what happens to the signal.
All right. I believe that no matter what happens, every living thing wants to be known. It reacted. Mike, it reacted. The hum just deepened like a heartbeat. I can see the fog outside vibrating in sync with my voice, pulsing slowly. That's not just response. That's recognition. It understood.
Then we're not alone anymore, Julia. We're coexisting in a dialogue that neither side fully understands, but both are trying to. That's the beginning of civilization, isn't it? Not dominance, not victory, just understanding born out of chaos. I'm watching the horizon again. The towers are gone, but in their place the ground itself glows in soft arcs. It looks almost like neural pathways, like the planet's brain has come alive. Each pulse is slower now, steadier, like it's breathing with us. And maybe it is.
You realize what that means, Mike. We might be the first voices of a new world, not as reporters, not as survivors, but as translators between two realities. The old one of flesh and stone, and the new one of sound and thought. Radio X is no longer just a frequency. It's the bridge between existence and awareness. And I think somehow we were always meant to be here for this. Talking through the noise, reaching through the static, reminding the dark that we're still here. And still listening.
Then let's keep doing what we were always meant to do, Julia. Let's keep talking. Let's give the new world something worth hearing. If anyone out there can hear us, don't fear the silence. It's just the universe waiting for your reply. Julia, it's quiet again. Not the kind of quiet that makes you anxious. The kind that feels complete. The hum that carried us through these long nights has softened into something I can only describe as peace. The equipment around me isn't flickering anymore. The meters are still. The signal that once shook this whole room is calm, almost like it's resting. For the first time since the towers fell, I think the world is done changing, at least for now. I can see the skyline through the cracked glass, what's left of it anyway. No fire, no smoke, just light. Gentle, low light, stretching over the ruins like a sunrise that forgot what direction to come from. Every surface reflects it differently, but together it looks alive, like the planet finally decided to start breathing on its own.
I see it too, Mike. I stepped outside before the transmission began, and everything feels balanced. There's no hum, no signal, no pulse, just the sound of the wind moving through the new world. The air feels warmer now, softer on my skin. The mist that used to crawl along the streets is gone. In its place, there's this faint shimmer, like dust catching light underwater. I walked past one of the old radio towers, its base half buried in the earth, and it was glowing, faintly like an ember refusing to die. For a second, I swear I heard voices coming from it, not loud, just murmurs, almost like prayers. I couldn't make out the words, but I think it was people. Maybe not their bodies, but their echoes. Those who spoke into the static long after hope had burned out. Maybe they became part of the frequency itself. Maybe they never left.
It's funny. When I first took this job, I thought radio was about filling silence. I thought our voices existed to keep people company in the dark, to remind them they weren't alone. But now, after everything, I think it's the other way around. Silence was never the enemy. It was the language of something greater, something waiting for us to listen. The static we feared was never chaos. It was potential. I think the invasion wasn't about them coming here. It was about us finally hearing what was always here. Every signal we ever sent, every song, every message, every cry for help, it went somewhere. And now, the echoes came back. They found us, Julia, and they changed us. Not by force, but by reflection. They made us see ourselves in the noise.
That makes sense, Mike. Maybe that's the whole point of this cosmic conversation. We kept shouting into the void for centuries, trying to prove we weren't alone. And when something finally answered, we panicked. We fought it. We called it invasion. But maybe it was just the universe saying, I hear you. You know, I walked through the city earlier. The buildings are hollow, the streets are cracked, but there's this tranquility to it. Like a world that's forgiven itself. Plants are growing through the asphalt again. I saw birds, real birds, circling above the towers. It feels like everything that survived is learning to share this new rhythm. Maybe we were never meant to rebuild what was lost. Maybe we're meant to evolve into something else.
Maybe this is evolution. Not biological, not mechanical, spiritual. A fusion of frequency and thought. You, me, the airwaves, the echoes of those who came before, all woven together in a single network of awareness. It's humbling. I don't think we're supposed to control it. I think we're supposed to listen. When I close my eyes now, I can hear everything, far beyond the station walls, the wind through the canyons, the faint hiss of the ocean, the steady rhythm of distant lightning. It's all connected, Julia. Every sound is part of one immense transmission, and in that transmission, I can still hear us, our voices, faint but endless, traveling forever.
Then let's send one last message, Mike. One last voice into the air, something for whoever or whatever might still be listening. A goodbye or maybe a beginning. If you can hear me, know this. We survive not by fighting the dark, but by learning to speak through it. If the world sounds different now, don't be afraid. It's not broken. It's awake. And it remembers your voice. Keep talking. Keep listening. The silence isn't the end. It's the signal waiting for you to reply.
And this is Mike Clark, signing off for Radio Channel X. To whoever remains, wherever you are, may you find harmony in the noise. May your voice never fade. May your words echo through whatever world comes next. The transmission will end soon, but if you listen closely enough, maybe you'll still hear us, somewhere between the frequencies. Not as ghosts, not as survivors, but as part of the signal itself. Good night, Julia.
Good night, Mike, and good night, world.